Hi there, I'm Lina Kelpsaite with CLASP, and in this tutorial, I will show you how to use the non-compliance risk assessment tool. This tool estimates the non-compliance risk for the market by evaluating the existing compliance processes for appliance energy efficiency and quality policies. Note that the tool does not provide the actual non-compliance rate for the market, but rather assesses the risk of non-compliance. You can learn more about the tool in the introduction tab, where we also provide the detailed instructions on how to use the tool. This tool is based on qualitative assessment of national compliance program and organized under 5 indicators: the regulation, resources, certification and registration, market surveillance and enforcement, and compliance communication. Each indicator includes relevant questions for the user to respond to, based on which the tool calculates the individual scores for each indicator and a corresponding overall market non-compliance risk score. So let's get started. As a first step, visit the Results tab to complete initial information for assessment, such as country, assessment year, and product energy source, as well as your name, the role, position, organization, and the date. Additionally, respond to 2 risk considerations and factors questions for more conclusive assessment. So for this tutorial, to demonstrate how the tool works, I completed this assessment for a fictional country, and here you can see the pre-filled information. Next, start assessment with responding to questions under the regulation indicator here, under regulation tab. First, go ahead and respond to initial assessment question, which will then prompt you to the next step here. If the country has a regulation or provision to implement and enforce product energy efficiency and quality policies, then the tool prompts you to go ahead and respond the questions listed here under this indicator. So the questions are listed on the left, and you will be responding to each question by selecting the response from the drop-down menu. For example, for the question number 1.1, whether the regulation identify and define roles and responsibilities of key actors, I said yes for the fictional country. And this way, then I went ahead and answered the rest of the questions, total 9 questions for this indicator. Complete the questions under this and other indicators to best of your ability, and select the answers that best reflect your compliance program. At the top here, you can see the score for the regulation indicator. For the fictional country, here, the regulation indicator is 0.5 out of the maximum score of 1. Note that if country does not have a regulation or provision for compliance, if I select no here, the assessment is not applicable for the country you are assessing, and the tool prompts you to reference CLASP compliance resources for developing compliance framework for policy implementation. If you would like to reset the questions and responses under the indicator. You select yes here for reset responses cells question, which will clear your answers. After you complete responding to questions under regulation indicator, next go to the resources tab to complete the questions for resources indicator in the same way. Resources indicator does not have initial assessment question, so you will just respond to the 10 questions here. Again, I already completed the responses for the fictional country for which the indicator score is 0.63 out of 1. After you complete questions under resources indicator, proceed to completing questions for the remaining 3 indicators under compliance processes tab for certification and registration, market surveillance and enforcement, and compliance communication. You will respond to questions similarly to the way you did for regulation and resources indicator. Here, for each indicator, you will complete the initial assessment question, and then if prompted, continue responding to the questions relevant to the indicator. For example, if the country does not have conformity assessment, such as certification and registration processes in place, which I said is the case for my fictional country, then there is no benefit in responding to the questions related to this indicator. You can see here that the score for market surveillance and enforcement indicator for the fictional country is 0.56, which I pre-filled, and for compliance communication, 0.2. To note that this tab also includes the questions for regional collaboration, which fall under market surveillance and enforcement indicator for this assessment. Some questions will appear non-applicable if they become not relevant based on your previous responses. For example, if you respond here to the question whether the regulators share compliance intelligence with other collaborating countries through available channels, if you respond to this question as no, then the follow-up question is not applicable. And the follow-up question asks, what compliance intelligence and information does the regulator share with other countries? So if no information is shared, this question is then become non-applicable and you're not required to respond to it. After you complete answering all available questions under 5 indicators, return to Results tab to see the assessment results. Here, in the indicator table, you can see individual scores for each indicator, which are the same that you can see at the top of each sheet when you answer to the indicator questions. So this score is the same score as shown here in this table. The scores are based on your responses, which have pre-assigned scores. Here, you maximum score, as I said, for each indicator is 1. the maximum score of 1 corresponds with policy compliance best practices for minimizing number of non-compliant products on the market. The coloring of the cells of the scores corresponds to the scores, with red corresponding to poor compliance performance, yellow, orange, adequate performance, and green, compliance program performance is satisfactory. Assessment of compliance program chart or spider chart here provides a visual representation of the indicator scores, and the assessment of available resources chart here show where compliance program is in terms of needed resources. Here, the fictional country have access to some of the resources, such as human resources, funding, infrastructure, as you can see in this chart, but there is a need for some more resources to strengthen policy compliance. The tool also provides the overall score, which varies between 0 and 100 with the same corresponding cell color. The overall score is calculated based on the assigned weights for each individual indicator and the indicator scores. For the fictional country here, the overall score is 41.4, which indicates medium non-compliance risk for the market, meaning that the likelihood of non-compliant products circulating in the market is somewhat concerning. And lastly, the tool provides recommendations for improving compliance program for the individual indicators with scores below 1. And the recommendations are presented in the recommendations tab. So the tool provides 2 types of recommendations: key recommendations and secondary recommendations. Key recommendations are for particular aspect of the program that has a major gap as identified by this tool, and the secondary recommendations are for the program aspects which can benefit from further improvement. Recommendations include proposed action, level of effort, and stakeholders who can support the implementation of this recommendation. If you are seeking for more detailed recommendations, please contact CLASP or refer to CLASP's compliance resources on CLASP website. For example, for my fictional country, the tool provides a total of 10 key recommendations listed in this table to improve compliance program and these are provided under 5 indicators. The tool is set up so you can print the results and recommendations sheets to keep them for your record. To note, because the tool is downloadable, this downloadable spreadsheet, the results of this assessment are only visible to you. And we hope that this is a valuable tool that you can use to get some insights into your compliance program, receive the guidance on strengthening your compliance program. If you have any questions, would like clarification or recommendation, other compliance assistance and suggestions for improving the tool, please contact CLASP. The contact information is provided here under introduction tab. Thank you for your time.